We all went about our business, waiting for the next air raid warning red. In between the Argentine Air Force trying to kill us and the Paragunners joining in when the mood took them, our TSM continued to piss us all off. A Royal Marine tracked vehicle became bogged down near our position. Geordie must have seen it because he marched up to the Marines and offered his services. Or rather, the services of 32 Alpha. We had been having a reasonable day up to the point of his arrival. It was someone's birthday, probably mine. I had my 20th there, and we celebrated with a tin of fruitcake and some extra boiled sweets and chocolate. Events unfolded something like this. Enter stage right, TSM sporting bull boots, ironed combats, shiny cap badge, the full parade ground look, the absolute dog's bollocks, with SMG slung on back to complete the ready for anything look. "Ah, Sergeant," he says to Bob, "I've got a quick job for you and your lads." "Yes, sir." "What's that then?" "There's a Royal Marine vehicle bogged in down the hill. I want you to get your one-tonner and go down and winch it out." Pregnant pause. "You're fucking kidding, aren't you?" "No, I'm not, Sergeant. It won't take long if we all lend a hand." "Look, Geordie, if you want to winch them out, go and do it with a THQ vehicle. You expect me to totally decamp my position and leave myself open to air attack? We're at war, not some exercise on autoburn ranges." "Listen, Sergeant, I'm not asking you. I'm ordering you." "No, you listen, Sergeant Major. You can fuck right off. I'm not doing it. Do you realize, Sergeant, I could have you court-martialed for this?" "Go on then, court-martial me. You never know, the charge might be murder." Geordie took the hint and stormed off in a rage. 32 Alpha 21, TSM 0. We won that battle, thanks to Bob standing firm. The TSM was having a giraffe, who was living in a farm building with nice hot water and fresh rations every day and would periodically appear up at our position and start telling us to have a shave and polish our boots. That sort of crap may have worked in Aden or Malaya in an old-fashioned field gun battery, but it was way out of line in San Carlos. From then on, I always had a greater respect for Bob. He was a soldier's soldier, and it was nice to see him rise to the rank of Warrant Officer 2nd Class SMIG Sergeant Major Instructor of Gunnery. I'm sure he put a few cocky sergeants in their place over the years, and he may have blacked a few careless nigguys in the tank hangar, too. The pace of the war was gathering momentum, heading towards a climax, and the Argentine forces looked as though they might be about to throw in the towel. We received orders to prepare to move. The Welsh Guards of 5 Brigade were being shifted from San Carlos Water to Bluff Cove, much closer to Stanley, to assist with the final stages of the ground war. We would be tasked to give them air defense cover while they waited to come ashore. Then, during the transfer and finally, once they had landed, we were to travel aboard the Royal Fleet auxiliary ship Sir Galahad, with other troops accompanying us on her sister, Sir Tristram. The idea was that we would be helicoptered aboard late in the day and set off at dusk. That way, we would travel and arrive under cover of darkness and the Galahad could drop us all off and be back at San Carlos by dawn. I was glad we were going to be on the move again. I was sick of getting bombed and watching ships sink at San Carlos. I might as well get bombed and watch ships sink somewhere else. But I was surprised that 32 Alpha had been given this important task. The continuing problems with our rapier system meant that the cover we could provide would be unreliable at best. I would have thought that the top brass would have wanted the best kit protecting their men. These things cannot, or should not, be left to chance. As it turned out, 32 Alpha was just a number of spanners thrown in the works, the first couple having been lobbed right at the start. First, we were late boarding and didn't set off until 5 hours behind schedule. This was good in one way, because it meant we went aboard during hours of darkness, which made us all feel a lot safer. But the downside of this was that we would arrive at the other end after dawn, in daylight. Second, because of the delay, the ship was sailing to Port Pleasant, Fitzroy, an inlet 3 or 4 miles closer to where we were setting off from, and a 2 or 3 hour march overland to Bluff Cove. But no one told the Welsh Guards about the change of destination. Right from the start, I had a bad feeling about being at sea again. It was only a couple of weeks since I'd seen the Antelope go up like an arsonist's dream that had been utterly horrific to watch, and a sick feeling spread through my guts as we went aboard the Sir Galahad. The guardsmen didn't seem to share my concern. I was astounded by their nonchalance. Apart from their uniform, they acted like they were on a P&O cruise to the Caribbean. It wasn't their fault. As members of 5 Brigade, they hadn't yet witnessed the sudden and terrible ferocity of a successful air attack. We must have looked pretty rough, and we probably stank, too. Anyway, we got some funny looks from the Welsh lads as we paced up and down nervously, like cats in a Chinese takeaway. They gave us a wide berth at first. They didn't know who we were, as we weren't wearing any headdress, and probably thought we were special forces. But as soon as they worked out that we were just array dogs bodies, one of their officers ordered us to grab mops and buckets and start scrubbing the boat from top to bottom, washing out the bogs and all. At least it gave us something to think about and focus on. After an hour or so of that and making the most of the unfamiliar warmth of my surroundings, I fell asleep, my exhaustion overcoming my fear as the throb of the engines lulled me away. A couple of hours later I woke up hot and clammy and peeled some of the layers of my clothing off. The stale smell of sweat, dirt, and week-soled underwear hit me like a slap in the face. I was right, I did stink. I took advantage of the hot pipes to dry some of my kit, change my socks, and scrape some of the crap off my boots so I could polish them. Not long after that, we pulled into Port Pleasant, which wasn't particularly well named, and dropped anchor. It was June 8th, it was dawn alright, and not just any old dawn either. The weather had been cloudy and squally in recent days, a real bonus because that restricted enemy air activity. Today, the sky was bright, clear, and blue, horribly right for an air attack. I made my way up on deck at this time, getting myself on stag with the rapier, standing next to our kit and the cargo nets. It felt very like the day we'd arrived in San Carlos water, when I'd been up top wondering where the opposition was, and when they'd suddenly arrived. I looked around. We were anchored in a narrow channel, bobbing gently on an almost flat calm sea, with the greeny-grey hills of the Falklands overlooking us. Sheep grazed unconcerned on the heather, a mile or two away, and the only sound was the slap of the gentle swell on the ship's hull, the low thrum of the idling engines, and the screech of seagulls riding the breeze above us. If I was writing a cheesy thriller, I'd probably say it was ominously quiet. You could see for miles in the crystal-clear air. I was very nervous. Scratch that. I was shitting bricks. I felt sick right down in my guts, and I strained to hear the roar of approaching turbines. I was sure, absolutely convinced, that we would be visited by our South American friends very soon, and that we needed to get moving. Otherwise, they were going to find us sitting around like toy boats in a pond. The phrase sitting ducks is one of the most overused there is, but it applied absolutely to us at that point. We were anchored up around 200 yards from shore in great visibility. There was no escort traveling with us, and no anti-aircraft capability aboard either boat to speak of, just a couple of Bofors guns. The Welsh Guards had offered to defend us with their machine guns, which would have been better than nothing, but this offer had been rejected by the captain of the Sir Galahad. I think he thought rapier and air combat patrols were providing cover, but we were the rapier. We were still aboard and we were malfunctioning anyway, as were others. Additionally, we had no Harrier support, because a strip at San Carlos had been damaged by a crash landing and was temporarily out of service. The nearest Harriers were operating from HMS Hermes, kept far out to sea for safety reasons, and that, and the fact they had plenty of other jobs to do, rendered them ineffective. To add to this the fact that we were nice and close to the Argentinian positions, so they would surely be getting on the blower as we sat there, and you begin to see our predicament.